months.
The 15th edition of the Voice&Data Telecom Leadership Forum 2016 was held in New Delhi recently. It was an August gathering with the who's who of the telecom industry gathered under one roof. The objective was to help telco leaders grow business with better and newer services. This year, the theme was Year of 4G, Empowering Leaders in Telecommunications. The event was flagged off by Ibrahim Ahmed, Group Editor, Voice&Data.
Many of you have been part of this journey that we have been undertaking for the last 15 years. This is the 15th year of the annual Telecom Conference and awards that we have been doing. The idea, as I have often repeated, the idea is basically to create a platform where all the stakeholders come together for deliberations and discussions, and more importantly for catching up and networking. A very warm welcome to all of you once again, and I would like to invite on stage Mr. Vikram Tewatia, Deputy Director General of COAI, to come and kindly address the gathering. Mr. Tewatia.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for the introduction. The Digital India and the Make in India campaign, the way it is helping out the telecom sector is getting focus from state-level agencies and municipalities when you factor in the smart city part and all that. Because whatever has to happen, all the services that have to be delivered will intrinsically rely very heavily on the telecom networks and the broadband networks. On the LTE part, I really want to highlight that. So the good news is today, as we speak, we have about 160,000 LTE base stations, which is about maybe 15% of the total number of base stations in the country. So there are about 11 lakh, and in the last 1 or 2 years, we've seen a rollout of 160,000 4G base stations. So the good news is that LTE is really going to start growing at a rapid clip. And the wireless broadband piece, that again is set to grow in a significant way in the year ahead. Thank you very much for your patient listening.
The event featured a stellar lineup of inspiring keynote speakers from the industry. In the inaugural keynote address, R.S. Sharma, Chairperson, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, spoke about the issues and challenges in the Indian telecom sector and suggested steps to counter the impediments.
We don't need to say that internet has become one of the biggest enablers of development, of change. And if we want to leverage that, one of the essential prerequisites for that is having connectivity of the data connectivity of, not of 512 kbps, because nobody talks in terms of Ks now. Everybody talks in Ms and Gs, megabytes and gigabytes. And therefore, I think we need to really leapfrog. We do have certain constraints. For example, one of the biggest constraints we have is the lack of fixed lines, lack of wire lines. These could become a very effective instruments of providing broadband to the people of our country. Unfortunately, that did not exist. So what has happened is that mobile has become the primary means of accessing broadbands in the country. So some of the thoughts which TRAI as an institution has provided to the government in terms of advice. One, of course, is this wired line connectivity through telephones, which of course I do not see any foreseeable progress. Another, of course, is more and more spectrum becoming available to the industry, so that industry is able to provide more and more connectivity, data connectivity, and data traffic, as you know, is growing at a very high rate. The other area which we have made recommendations in the past, and we continue to work with the government, is the area of leveraging the digital cable TV network to provide the connectivity to the people. And I am told that about 85% of the homes have got now not the analog but the digital cable TV connections. These can be very effectively used. What one needs is a proper policy framework. There are issues which actually are prohibiting the growth of this sector. There are issues relating to revenue share, relating to other kinds of stuff, which I think we can sort it out. And the government is very keen, we are working with them to, and we have said we will provide every, policy advice or whatever advice we can give to ensure that this becomes a means of providing connectivity. And that, I think, with all of us, with the help of, with the kind of coordinated working of the industry, of the regulator, of the government, and all other partners of the ecosystem, we should be able to realize the Digital India dream of the country. And this is really so essential, because then and only then India will be able to transform itself into a digitally empowered society and a knowledge economy. Thank you very much.
Next was a power-packed presentation by Lechu Narayanan, Vice President South Asia, CSG International. He spoke about the issue of monetizing the long-term evolution, or the LTE technology, and the lessons to be learnt from around the world.
The key lessons here is being the first to market. So what do I mean by that? Is coming out with a business model or plan and be the early mover in the market, right? So that is one. The second is looking at making these plans simplistic, be making it easy for consumers to understand what these plans are. The third is looking at it from a point of view of not offering unlimited plans. So I mentioned a scenario here where Airtel in India today is come to market with unlimited plan, and essentially their tagline is 4G at 3G price. And essentially they're transitioning their 3G data packs into 4G at no additional cost. Now, you have invested a substantial amount into LTE networks, and you're offering it at the same price as 3G, and it's unlimited. How are you going to monetize this? It's not evident to us. So for us, that's an absolute no. Next is you looking at from a point of view of the two-sided business model. Don't just look at the consumer as a revenue stream. Also look at options of how you can generate other revenue streams through content providers as well as AdWords. The next would be offering premium services along with this. So if you look at operators in Australia and other places, they are looking at coming up with premium service offerings such as broadcasting cricket or telecasting cricket on your devices, tying up with English Premier League exclusively to offer that content. So they're getting into a number of tie-ups where they could leverage on the speed of LTE to offer those services and entice consumers to pay a higher premium for those services. So that's another avenue in which people are looking to monetize, which is offering premium content. And then last but not least is charging for quality. So the quality of the service that you get based on that leverage and factor, and see how you can derive more revenue out of that. So these are some of the examples on which how folks are looking to focus on.
After the inaugural session of the Voice&Data Telecom Leadership Forum, it was time for the panel discussions. The first topic to be discussed was the transition that is happening between TSP to DSP and the new trends which will set the ball rolling for this sector. The panelists deliberated on how the launch of 4G and LTE are likely to change user expectations and therefore put the pressure back on the operators to evolve themselves from TSP to DSP.
Actually, I think that there will be really three major trends which we will face in the next 2 years. The first one would be real full launch and commercialization of LTE. Because now we are just shooting in, just warming up for real use of the high-speed data infrastructure. And that will really happen in the next 2 years for sure. So the high-speed broadband will be built. The second point is extremely important. It looks like telcos are not utilizing really the capabilities and opportunities they have in their hands. And the main is probably I think revenue stream from monetization is actually flying away from telcos in a big scale. That's what we need actually to catch up and bring back and just change business model to adapt to new reality. It's not just voice connectivity messaging. It's significantly more in the next, and the infrastructure will allow to do this. And the third point, I think definitely it will be much more collaboration in the industry through different types of spectrum sharing, spectrum trading, M&As. That's absolutely necessary, vitally necessary, just to provide sufficient resource base and knowledge expertise to meet those requirements of monetization of the digital world and building efficient infrastructure.
The trends which include, number one, massive infrastructure, whether all telecom operators, especially the top 3 operators, are rolling out to expand mobile broadband services over the next 3 years with massive investments underway. Almost 800 million Indians will be able to use mobile broadband services. Now, what would be the impact when such a massive rollout of mobile broadband happens? Impact will be from mobile being pervasive to mobile being everything, which means that not only mobile will be used for voice and broadband services, but it will have impact and it will be used for multiple other applications. It will also transform the second most important sector, which is the financial sector, and the payment industry will undergo a disruption. The third point that we talked about with this massive infrastructure and digitization of the society, it will have a disruptive impact on across every sector, because once we move from old ways of running the business, which is physical in form, analog in form, into digital way of business, okay, the old business model no more will be applicable, and every sector will have to find a new business model.
I saw a lot of optimism, compared to last year's I've attended. So I think we truly are entering a digital era where there is enormous amount of opportunity for service providers. And I think for me, what's important is that we look at it in a holistic manner. And I think a couple of things that I said in the panel is that we need to relook at our architectures and make them digital ready. And I think we need to embark on technologies that will make cost of production lower, cost per bit even lower, and you can fit in more bits per hertz. I think those are some of the issues that we are walking in with into this new digital era. And I think you have technologies like virtualization, orchestration, and networks have to be programmable and automated. All of that will really result into an architecture that's digital ready. I think that was kind of my sense and take of the discussion.
Another engaging session was called Winning Hearts, Innovative and Effective Business Models to Delight Customers. An interesting element that emerged from this discussion was how the 5 vowels of the English language correspondingly explain the network ecosystem for an enhanced service experience.
We talk about 5 vowels of the network, which is critical for the journey. A means having a self and service aware network. E means being an elastic network, which is virtual over time, and we can take the caching to the edge of the network. I means being an intelligent network, which can pull in the data from the network and give it to the platform where we can enable and create new services on the analytics front. O means optimize. We have seen India one of the most optimized networks, mobile networks worldwide. Now we have to do the same to meet the ARPU levels in the data factory. And U means ubiquitous. We can't have a wireline network different than the mobile, different than the OSS. It needs to be a ubiquitous network overall. So that's all we call about the A, E, I, O, U, which are the 5 vowels of the network.
Clearly, the customer is evolving, right? from just using phone or telecom for connecting, making a voice call or sending a SMS, we've evolved to a era where people are finding more and more use, and it's not just any longer about connecting devices and connecting people and connecting machines. It's also about driving productivity, getting to know your customer better, and these are bringing alive multiple opportunities for both telecom service providers as well as for businesses.
The next panel discussion was the Tech Edge, dedicated to the topic of building the backbone for competitive leadership. It analyzed how operators can build an open framework that enables operators to harness untapped network value, reduce costs, accelerate revenue growth, and align with new business opportunities.
Innovation and technology has to be market appropriate. It has to serve the social goals of the society that you operate in. And it's really enabled by the larger set of government policies that has to support the technological progress. I would say that India is a very diverse market, and there is room for many different technologies to coexist. As a matter of fact, a successful pan-India operator serving large population has to support multiple access technologies, whether it's 2G, 3G, 4G. Very difficult to be successful only betting on a single technology. That is one of the other key takeaways I have out of this conversation.
As we move to 4G, what we see three different technology trends which are going to affect, or three technologies areas which are going to help or has to be incorporated by service providers. Namely, three different areas which I shared. One is security. The security becomes paramount, and what we believe the security architecture will change dramatically. The way you architect security, the way you think about security in the telecom world, in the service provider world will change. The second thing about the point which I share from a technology point of view, we as a technology company which is seeing worldwide is in the optimized phase. What we are seeing architecture evolving in future from a technology point of view, where consolidation of services happening, consolidation of CGNAT, consolidation of WAP, consolidation of caching, load balancing, DNS, all collapsing into one. By doing so, the technology will evolve to bring a lower latency, hence improving a user experience. So we see this as a next trend from a technology point of view. And the third part which I talk about is monetization. How do you bring intelligence from the data, from the subscriber, from the network, from the application? That's the third part which we call as the monetization. The architectures will evolve to bring intelligence system to make sure how, as a service provider, if I'm a service provider, how do I leverage the information intelligently to reduce cost or come out with different plans, make more profitability.
There are technologies, 3G, 4G from a mobile perspective, which are going to really come and provide the right combination for users. Users need options for both the indoor and the outdoor. The indoor is where you need 10 times more capacity and you need to offer prices of 30 GB per month. The outdoor today is being sold at 300 GB per month, and you need to look at how you can bring down the outdoor from 300 GB per month to less than 100 GB per month. So you need to use technologies which is a combination of licensed, unlicensed, and use the best of both the worlds to deliver the cheapest gigabyte factory.
The Voice&Data Telecom Leadership Forum then moved into the final session of its panel discussions. The Cisco Voice&Data Leadership Roundtable saw industry leaders brainstorm about ensuring high-quality, reliable, affordable telecom for all.
So first and foremost, I think one point which is coming out very, very clearly, that if you have to provide these services, ultimately you have to share the resources. You have to share all the resources what you have got, be it media, fiber, towers, everything. Like fiber sharing is there, but like maybe when you are laying new fibers, more and more people using the same pipe, all those kind of things are required to be done. Then other than that, if you can have, because India is a very vast country, large country, Now, in especially rural areas where population is not much, if operators can share the networks, I think that will be something really good.
In the telecom market, over a period of time, I think the quality has been maintained and the cost has been driven less and less. But now as a point of time has come wherein the quality of voice, which still was a bit perceptible, people are not really able to differentiate between a quality of a call drop versus when the data market is coming, any drop in a data would be perceived by the customer very, very easily, and he would discern between a good quality network and a bad quality network. The government is moving forward, wherein they're trying to get in active infrastructure sharing already approved. More and more spectrum has been given, so that means the bandwidth available is better. You can go into active infrastructure sharing, and also RAN sharing is coming through. The third is the technology over a period of time is moving quite aggressively, and we are seeing a lot of development as far as the technology is concerned. The cost of operating a BTS is coming down. The cost of cost of telecom equipment is coming down. So I think the cost per se overall of offering a service to the operator, offering a service by the operator to a consumer is being contained, if not being brought down consistently.
If you look at government, over the last few years, the government has started behaving like a corporate. They have started monetizing all their assets, nothing wrong in that. But their primary mandate is to bring the best to the common man. That somehow did get lost somewhere down the line, and spectrum is a commodity, sell it, get more money. That should have been tempered with some schemes which sort of scale it up in such a manner that those who can pay more. Those who can't pay, they should get services at a low cost.
When the enlightening sessions concluded, it was time for the Voice&Data Telecom Leadership Forum Awards for the year 2016. The award was divided into various categories, and the first category was for recognizing top telcos, and the award under this category was bagged by Airtel. Abhay Savgaonkar, Director Network Services at Airtel, took the award on behalf of his company. The next winner under the same category of Top Telcos Recognition Award was given to Idea Cellular. The next category was the Internet and Broadband Services, and Atria Convergence Technologies was declared the winner. Saurabh Mukherjee, Chief Operating Officer, Hyderabad Business, received the award. Another winner in the Internet and Broadband Services category was RailTel Corporation of India. And R.K. Bahuguna, Chairman and Managing Director, RailTel, came forward to receive the award. The Telecom CTO Award was bagged by Abhay Savgaonkar, Director Network Services at Airtel, while the Special Recognition Award was given to Nachiket Moore, Director Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. In the Energy Management category, the award was given to Vyom Networks, and Sudhir Prasad, Chief Operating Officer, Vyom Networks, received the award. The next award was in the category of the Lifetime Contribution Award. It went to Nagrajan Vittal, former Secretary, Department of Telecom and former Chief Vigilance Commissioner of India. Pankaj Saran received the award on his behalf. And then it was time for the last award for the evening. Dr. Rahul Kullar, former Chairman of TRI, was honoured as the Telecom Person of the Year.
For sharing of the infrastructure will be first and foremost step towards reducing the operational cost and all that, therefore increasing the revenue itself.
Call drops or interference or the low data rate, low throughput, all these are happening because of coexisting of multiple sites, for example 2G, 3G or the LTE site on the same site. Our test and measurement equipment plays a very important role. By using this test equipment, you can identify which component is faulty and you can optimize your network and increase the quality of your network. That means your customer satisfaction and the churn out rate is very low in that case.